As mentioned earlier, it can be kind of difficult to outsource making your logo unless you go to an actual artist. One other option though is just making it yourself. It doesn't have to be fantastic, it just needs to look somewhat good. Now, I'm definitely not the best artist. I learned how to make these logos from Justin Dyke at Cartoon Smart, and I recommend you check out his videos on Udemy as well. He has some great videos to run you through making a lot of game art yourself in Adobe Flash, and especially his logo making courses. They're really good. But if you don't want to buy his course, then here's a rough way that you can create a logo yourself using Adobe Flash. So the first thing I'm going to do is find a good font to use. So I'm looking on fontsquirrel.com and I'm trying to pick a font that will be suitable for my game logo. Once done and installed, you can come back into Adobe Flash, select the text tool, change the font family to the font you just downloaded and installed, and then type out the name of your game. And mine is going to be Trials of the Secret Garden. Okay, now if I right click, break apart, that will now break it into individual characters. So I'm just going to resize and move these parts around until it looks pretty good. You don't want it to be like one really long section or one really tall section. You want to try and keep it on more of a square ratio. It doesn't have to be exactly square, it could be more like widescreen, just as long as it's going to look good in some sort of logo. So I'm just resizing these and moving them around, and that looks pretty good stacking them like that. The less significant words, such as of, the, they can be smaller than the larger words, which are more important. Even trials could be a bit smaller here, but I think for this should give it a pretty nice effect. So I'm just going to recenter that in the middle of the screen. Okay, now I'm just going to select it all and go break apart again. And I'm just going to take a copy of all this and put it on another layer. And position it exactly on top of the other piece. So now you have both copies on different layers but in the exact same position. I'll change the color of the front one to white for now so that we can see the background. Select the background, come to Shape, Expand Fills. I'm going to change it to around 6 and make sure that it is on Expand. Click OK. This looks mostly good, but you'll see on some of the smaller characters that the pieces have run into each other and it's created this problem. So I'm just going to grab those two words and expand them separately. So modify, shape, expand fill, and we'll try it around 4. Almost, but not quite. So try again. Three pixels. Okay, that looks like it's worked fine. So now we'll go ahead and do the other words again. So modify, shape, expand fill, and we'll go 6 pixels. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm just going to grab the bigger words again and just expand them by another 2 pixels just to make it stand out even more. Okay, now I'm just going to grab this background and just offset it a little bit. So move it a little bit to the right and a little bit down, but try to make sure that it still overlaps on the top left side a little bit. Okay, so that's helped give the text a little bit of depth. So I'm just going to create a new layer now called Shadow, and I'm just going to copy that background again and put it onto that shadow layer. Now if we move this out to the side a little bit so we can get a good look at it, and I'm just going to turn this background into a symbol. That will allow us to be able to do filters, etc. on the layer. So we come to the filters now and select blur, and also the style I'm just going to change to alpha, and blur I'm just going to take it up a little bit to about 8 pixels and just move it in behind again. Normally I put the quality up to high as well just so it looks a little better, but for this it probably doesn't matter too much. Now I'm just going to go back to this background, convert it to a symbol as well. Then come in and add a drop shadow. This will be a inner shadow. And we'll put its quality to high. And now we're going to change the color. So let's give this like a dark green. Now you can come to this angle and play around with it until it looks like it's in the right spot. So what we're aiming for here is just to give it sort of a reflection look, so as if light's reflecting onto the side of the object. Try a few different colours just to see how it looks, and just keep going until you find a colour that you like. Okay, I'm just going to stick with this green. I kind of like this neon looking glow it has around it. Now I'm just going to change the stage colour just so that I can get more of an idea of how it will look on our intended background. Now in the foreground layer, I'm just going to select all of these fills and just change their colour. So I want them to have a greyish sort of colour. Now I'm just going to copy this and put it onto a new layer again. So select all those fills, come up to Modify, Shape, Expand Fills. This time we're going to do a inset, and we'll try to do it by 6. Now just change the colour so it is a little bit of a lighter grey. And just move it around a little bit so it's more to the left and more to the top of the fills on the layer below it. Okay, so it's mostly worked pretty well. The of and the the are a little broken. I'm just going to leave it like that though, because I kind of wanted them to be darker anyway. So that's worked out not great, but okay. Now I'm just going to try and dress this up a bit by drawing some vines over the top of the lettering. So it looks like it's part of an ancient temple or something like that, which is overgrown and old. And I will admit right now, I'm not overly happy with this logo. It's okay, but it's not great. And right now Justin's probably a little disappointed in me. But this is just to show you some of the techniques you can use to make a logo, so that you can now go off by yourself and play with Adobe Flash and come up with something really good. It's just about being creative and using the space well. And like I said, if you're really interested in making good logos, then check out the Cartoon Smart video. It's a lot of fun and you'll learn a lot as well. So once you've made a logo that you're happy with, You can export it out as an image. Make sure that you export it out to a pretty decent size so that later on, if you need to use it in a high resolution project, you can do that as well. Also, one thing I'd really love is if in the course comments, you can post a link to logos that you have created just using methods from this video. That would be really awesome.